SMTN.
How's it going, everybody, and welcome to Shin Megami Tensei Network Link 261. I'm your probably going to sound a little tired, but hopefully not too tired, host for this Ultimax evening event podcast, Spencer Presley. And joining me is someone who you may know, you may not know. I thought this was really funny. Mysterious special guest. I got a random comment on YouTube I got such a kick out of someone recognizing your name. Not for your mutual love of Monarch, not for your trophy collection. Somebody on YouTube was like, "Oh, I know that guy. They uploaded the whole 13 Sentinel soundtrack before and got it taken down. Real great channel." And I went, "What a great niche way for someone to think of you, like, oh yeah, I listened to that game soundtrack through that guy." So, mysterious soundtrack uploader, otherwise known as Lucky Slime. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm good. I would love to know what's the story. Are you still holding a grudge against Atlas or Vanillaware for taking down those videos? Did they just nuke?
It actually wasn't Atlas or Vanillaware. I kind of shot myself in the foot for getting my YouTube shut down. I uploaded the Neo, The World Ends With You soundtrack, and Square Enix just gave me 150 copyright strikes.
Whoa! Okay, so by the way, is your channel just nuked? Because I tried looking if you had a channel on YouTube.
I'm pretty sure it's nuked. It had like 2,000 subs or something, and it just got nuked. Because I uploaded all of the stage plays, the whole 13 Sentinels OST, and everything. Nuked.
That's so funny. Honestly, that makes way more sense that Square would end up doing it, if anything. Although, hey, shout out to Square Enix, because they literally just put all of their music on YouTube, or a large amount of their music.
Yeah, that's good. Nintendo needs to get on that as well.
Hey, they're figuring out Mario Kart DLC. Give them time. They're taking their time. So Slime, if anyone out there doesn't know you, what's the quick summary of who are you as a person?
I am the dumbass who platinumed every Megami Tensei game on PlayStation in all the regions.
And Atlas is about to give you a really big middle finger this week by giving you 3 more versions of Ultimax to platinum.
Yay, fun.
Now, can we talk about how much more of a pain in the butt that's going to be, because only 2 of those trophy sets will be physical, at least. But I don't know if it'll be any easier for you that then have to... Is it easier for you to import a game to get the version to play for the Platinum? Or is it easier for you just to go and buy a third-party burner account like PSN code and download it that way from the regional store?
Yeah, I usually do the codes because it's just way quicker. The thing is, if there's Korean ones, the Korean account I had to make was such a pain in the ass because you need actual Korean ID because it asks you for Korean ID to make the account. It's stupid.
Well, I mean, at least in that one, I guess. Then at least the not Japanese Asian version will at least have you covered there.
Yeah.
That's wow. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, because I always think it's so funny when people get scared at the idea of making a Japanese PSN account. Usually it's for demos or betas and stuff. I find it so funny of the thing that scares people always. You have to put in a fake address. Yeah. And I'm like, that's the part that scares you guys? There are so many other, the Korean one of, hey, you gotta make a fake human being.
Yeah. Also, another scary thing is navigating that damn store in another language, my god.
Oh my god. Yeah, because the thing you would think every PlayStation store is the same, just in a different language. Never the case. The place where new games and demos are always horrendously wrong and all over the place.
It's hidden under 6 sub-menus, down the bottom of the page.
I was trying to mess around at the Vita store recently in Japan, and even the Japanese Vita store, for as nice and as updated as it was, just finding individual games are horrendous, because you can't just look at all PlayStation Portable games. You have to go by each individual katakana letter for the games.
Yeah. Yeah, it's dumb.
But so as a fellow trophy person here, I recently added you, and I was surprised that you're relatively kind of new to
Yeah, I
trophy
only
hunting.
got
So what
yeah, I
started
only
this
got into
unhealthy
2 years ago.
addiction?
I guess coronavirus, Persona. Like what I did, I was like, so at the time when I started, I was going back through the Persona games and platinuming all of them, and I was starting to get addicted to trophies, and I'm like, and I found out that you can actually get different region platinums. So I just started blowing all my money on other region Persona platinums, and I just started doing that. And then from there, I guess, got addicted, and I'm continuing to trophy on basically every game I play in all 3 regions.
It's it's interesting because I've been really into trophies ever since they started, and like here's my weird, like, I don't even know if this makes me old moment. I stayed up like literally F5ing my PS3 back in 2008 when they added in the firmware update for trophies. There was only one game with achievements. It was Super Stardust Ultra on the PS3.
Okay.
And I remember, like, there was no platinum at that point. It was just one of those things of I'd always wanted achievements, but I didn't want a 360. And so finally getting it on PS3 was like such a big deal in 2008. And it was so funny of like, it was such a crapshoot for a while because they weren't mandatory for at least a year. So you would just straight up have games sometimes that just didn't have trophies, or we get them
Yeah,
patched in really late. Like Metal Gear Solid 4 didn't have trophies until 4 years after its release.
yeah. Yakuza Kenzen, still no trophies for that game. Still no localization either.
Yeah.
Maybe someday.
So what's funny though is I think actually you picked a great time to get into Atlas trophy hunting, because let me tell you, as an Atlas fan, their first game with trophies, otherwise known as Persona 4 Arena. Oh no, actually no, technically it would have been Catherine. Those are not fun platinums. Like, they're doable, but there's nothing fun about like doing them. Like, especially then going into like Golden. Like, they're you could really tell it took him like 5 years to understand what made a fun platinum list.
Yeah, Persona 4 Arena, that's the worst platinum trophy. Oh my god, I don't even want to think about that one.
I'm trying to think, like, the major difference with that one is I think you have to do all challenges with all characters, right?
Yeah, and the full score attack thing. Like in Ultimax, score attack is so much easier because you can change the difficulty, but in what is it, Persona 4 Arena, it's like so high, like you've basically got to almost play at a pro level just to beat them. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, so that was always like such a weird one of like it was like I don't know who's designing this because it always felt like they just had like their most like pro elite I hate myself chain smoking video game person doing their trophy list, because like they're never like fun or like in a manageable sense. Like that's why I always thought it was really funny when Persona 5 Arena came out, Persona 5 Royal, and people were like, dude, the platinum is so easy, you can get it in one playthrough. And I'm like, that's good. Like, that's still like 60 to 80 hours to get that platinum. It's not like, no one's sitting there getting the Persona 5 platinum being like, dude, I love getting every demon in the compendium. That sucks. That's not a fun thing to do. That game was not designed for you to get 100% completion.
Also, what was it? Oh, the strikers. Like, people say that I don't know if this is going to be a hot take or not. People say that the strikers, the bond level is, like, really hard, but I don't even find it hard at all. It's just grindy. Like, people always say trophies are hard, but there's, like, a difference between a hard trophy and an easy but grindy trophy.
Very true. Like, a great example of an easy trophy list, but a grindy trophy list that I almost, like, grinding in strikers I find fun. Like, that's a platinum I've not obtained yet, but I still keep popping in every now and then. And it's just one of those things of I don't get bored of grinding in that game, but like playing Nocturne was not fun. Like, by the time
Nocturne was stupid. You literally had to buy a DLC just to max out Demi-Fiend, because, like, if you wanted to get to level 250 legit, that would take forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Nocturne seemed like it was designed by someone who never actually did it themselves. It was just one of those things of like, by the time I got all the endings, the only thing that made me glad is that you can at least cheese the beat the game on hard trophy by then just picking the most dog shit neutral demon ending and then being like, all right, final boss, just show me the credits so we can go home, please.
I was kind of glad when I found that out, because 5 regions on hard. Oh boy, I wouldn't be able to get my platinum in one day doing that.
So my question for you then, so we're not like super duper on trophies for too long. Do you have a favorite and a least favorite Atlas trophy list?
Ooh, I'd say my favorite Atlas trophy list is probably the PS3 Persona 4 Arena Ultimax and the Persona 5 Strikers list. And my least favorite is Persona 4 Arena and Catherine Full Body. Honestly, the original Catherine PS3 isn't too bad. The thing that puts me off with Catherine Full Body, and the thing that's annoying, is the fact that you have to do the gold prize on easy, normal, and hard. And then the remix versions as well, so it just takes forever. You got to basically beat the game like 6 times.
Yeah. Let alone with then having to get not only the PS4 version, but then doing it on doing it for like the Vita one as well. Which I think there's only one list for the Vita version, right?
Luckily, the Vita version got linked with the PS4 Japanese one, so
Yes.
you can either do the Vita or the PS4, which is good because I did not want to do the Platinum.
I'm actually one of those weirdos who I like when there's separate trophy lists. I actually don't like linked trophy lists just because I enjoy popping the second Platinum.
Same.
So my favorite, I don't even know if I have a least favorite. It's probably Nocturne, just because that's the one that stands out the most. Of like, I did it, but I don't even know why I did it. Outside of like, well, this seems like a good way to spend my time or whatever. It was more like I think I did it because I wanted to be able to talk about doing it, because I know most people don't want to get that because it's just not a fun one to get. But ironically, I have. If there was a speed running category for platinuming this game, which there's not, I would be very actively competitive, because I think I've got the platinum in Persona 4 Dancing All Night at least maybe 15 times.
God damn, that's even more than me. I only did it like 8 times.
So what's funny for me is I don't even have all the regions on my account, technically. I will just pick up people's accounts if they don't have it and just do it for them. Because it's so easy. Like, obviously, you bum rush through the story mode and stuff for it, but, like, it's just one of those fun things of, like, you get to just do everything in the game, nothing's ever really that grindy, and then even when you are just trying to grind for money, it never really takes that long. Whereas, like, I liked how hard 3 and 5 dancing were in terms of, like, they were a nice, different trophy list, but, like, those aren't fun to, like, run through in a day, just because doing those conditions, like, that's not fun grinding, whereas like grinding for cash in P4 Dan was a lot more fun to me.
Yeah, because usually you end up getting all the cash by the time you finish all the songs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also interested to see what the Soul Hackers 2 list is going to be, whether it's going to be grindy or just an easy one.
I'm optimistic for that one just because of the team behind it, because I don't know if you played TMS, but they kind of had like their own little feats and achievement stuff for it, of like, it seemed more fair, but it's always like such a crapshoot again though, of like trying to tell, like, imagine if the trophy list for Persona 5 Royal was the in-game trophy list from the Palace mode. Like, that would be terrible. So hopefully it's one of those things where they know the difference between in-game achievements that are fun and a trophy list that's fun.
Yeah.
But everybody, I know trophies are not everyone's cup of tea, so we won't bore everyone too much, because we're here to talk about the latest and greatest release of the week. And unfortunately, we're not here to talk about GTA 5 coming to PlayStation 5 and Xbox One. But I did want to say, how weird is it, Slime? I don't know, because I haven't seen anyone mention this. This is the second Atlas release in a row that is releasing the same week as the latest Grand Theft Auto game.
Wait, it is? God.
SMT5 released literally the day after, or if you're going by Japan standards, the day of the GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition.
I didn't even know that happened, because I was too focused on SMT5 to even realize.
Mm-hmm. So it's just so funny now of like, this is what's even more fucked up. It's releasing, I think, a day after GTA 5 on Next Gen, but somehow GTA 5 is the older game, because obviously 2013 to 2014, but I love that GTA 5 is going to be $10, whereas this is $30.
Oh, the Persona killer is going to kill Persona. It's cheaper.
I would just love, though, like, somebody legitimately being like, I'm sorry, Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, I was going to get you, but $10 GTA is too hard to pass up. And I'll be like, I'm not going to lie, man. Like, if you were like, what's going to give you the most bang for your buck, like, $10, if you've never played GTA 5, like, that's a hard bargain to go up against, let alone they're releasing... I would say we're still in the massive Elden Ring bubble hype. People are going to be memeing and dunking on Strangers of Paradise all week, Ghostwire's next week, Kirby's next week. Like, it's just releasing in the middle of this giant, like, early 2022, like, games mess right now. So before I guess we kind of get into our opinions, because this whole review discussion, we're going to cover a whole bunch of stuff. I'm curious about this from your perspective. Do you think this is going to bring in a considerably amount of new fans? Because I feel like at least release timing and the way they've released it, primarily digitally only in all Western like countries and stuff, I feel like this is just destined to be a good port, but like for the most part, it's gonna like be that thing that you pick up on sale for most people.
Yeah,
down the
I don't
line.
know. I feel like it wouldn't bring as much new fans because I feel like everyone I'm seeing on Twitter that everyone wants Golden to come. Like most people haven't even played a mainline Persona game. Like I don't really see them picking up Ultimax and playing. Like I don't know. Like yeah, it's just hard to say, especially with the digital only thing. Like you said, like most Atlas fans get games physically, like myself. Like I mean, yeah, I get digital games as well to play them as soon as they come out, but like I'm a massive physical collector.
Yeah, and it's one of those weird ones of I've tried to get like a statement on why. Like obviously it's a niche release and stuff, and like I'm glad to get it in some form as opposed to not at all. Especially because Ultimax is such a weird one. Of I don't know if were you playing Ultimax at release back in 2014.
I didn't. I played it in 2016.
So like
I'm surprised it was still kind of active then, but yeah.
At the time, the whole consensus was this is great. But we're a year into the PlayStation 4. Why was it not on the PS4? So it was like one of those things that it always felt so hamstringed. And it sucks that it took us like 8 years to get here. But it's like, I'm glad it's on new platforms finally. But it's also like, it feels like there was an interest to get this out to as many people and to as many platforms as possible. And I'm glad that that exists. Because this is a really interesting kind of game for them. But also at the same time, I wish that this got a little bit more love. Like, it's kind of weird. Like, I feel like Nocturne HD, for as low effort as that was in certain aspects, that had more attention and everything going into it than this did. Like, this kind of just feels like let's put something out.
Yeah. I remember the Nocturne hype was, like, that was pretty big, yeah. And, like, I mean... Like, everyone was complaining about the issues, which, I mean, yeah, that's fair. Like, it was, like, abysmal at launch for Japan, like, holy fucking shit. I mean, at least by the English launch, pretty much everything was fixed, so that was good. But at the same time, people were, like, kind of waiting for a sale, I guess, because, like...
$50 was a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. And no one really, like, talked about that the issues were even fixed. Not that much at launch anyway, so yeah.
So... Yeah, and you bring up a good point with the Ultimax thing. There's a lot of people who are like, should I buy this if I haven't played Persona 4? And it's kind of weird because it's a multi-tiered question of like, if we're being realistic, yes and no. Like, if you're coming at this from you want the story, we'll get into that for sure, but this is not a game anyone's going to recommend you for on the story alone. Like, at the end of the day, this is just a really good... Arc System Works 2D fighting game that is in the world of Persona and has a very long story and relates to Persona 3 and 4, but it's like, you really don't need... Like, honestly, you could get as much out of this game's story mode if you've just watched the movies and the TV show for Persona 3 and 4.
Yeah.
It's because everything is so surface level in terms of their depiction. Like they're not even like when they reference the main protagonist to Persona 3, they're just like, oh, him. I had a friend once. Yeah. He used to be cool. Like, they're never even like, oh my god, do you know blah 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 was the bad guy of Persona 4? They're like, let me tell you about that gas station attendant. Like, it's basically like the most you need to know. It's actually kind of similar to Strikers in the sense of, you just need to know these people met over a circumstance that happened a year ago, or longer if in the P3 sense, and now they're just getting reunited and something wacky and zany's going on. Yeah. Like, that's really all you need to know in terms of the story. Like, if you want to, there's a lot of stuff you'll get out of it in terms of, like, oh, what have they been up to? I think probably more so, there's more character development for the P3 cast and the new cast.
Especially with the P3 cast. Like, in the original, like, Arena story, like, at the start of that, they had, like, the intros of the characters for each of the P3 characters, like, what they had been doing in the gap between the two games, which I thought was really cool.
By the way, I always forget how hilariously small by comparison the original Persona 4 Arena cast is.
Oh my god, yeah.
Like, that roster, when you take out the fact that there's no shadow characters, and it's like, what, 3 Persona 3 characters? I guess 4 if you count Elizabeth.
Yeah.
It's one of those funny things of like, wow, I remember that roster seemed like so stacked at the time, but like, when you take out all of those people from Ultimax, it just seems so much tinier by comparison.
Yeah. So bare. Like, those shadow characters had so much, like, to the game.
So,
much character.
So before I guess, because really we're going to kind of hit this from a couple of different levels, from talking about story to the gameplay improvements and other features like that. If someone was like, okay, but I just want to know, what are your thoughts? I'll let you go first, because I'm, oh my god, at this point, 65 hours into the PS4 version. How much have you played, and what are your overall kind of takeaway thoughts in terms of, like, if you had to give, like, a Twitter, like, sized review or opinion?
Honestly, for the PS4 version, I'm gonna be real. I literally just speed run through everything so I could get the platinum in a day, which I did, by the way. So it took me 30 hours, and I think the port's all right, but like it's like bare bones. Like the OP is still in 720p. Like the second I boot out the game, I'm like, why is it still in 720p?
I think that it's important to note it is very blurry. All of the pre-rendered cutscenes are like, am I streaming this? Like, because I'm looking at this on a giant 70-inch 4K OLED TV and looking at these, like, fucking, like, the movie itself, it's very funny. Like, the movie almost gives you a really bad first impression because, like, wow, I don't remember it looking this blurry.
Yeah. Yeah, and then, like, I mean, basically, I just went into it. I did, like, all the challenge stuff first, you know. Challenges were fine. I mean, they changed some of the challenges, which was annoying, because I did Margaret's, because she has the easiest start on the challenges, and I got all the way to 25, and I realized, oh shit, they nerfed Margaret. I can't get enough damage to do the challenge 25, and then I had to go do Shadow Labrys's challenge, and luckily she's was still the same.
My entire 30-minute training trophy was spent trying to get 6K on Margaret. It was just like, because like all the other stuff, because the changes just, yeah, it was like it was more drastic than I had thought.
Yeah, I was confused because I didn't read into the patch notes or anything of 2.5 before this. I just went into the game and just tried to experience stuff myself, and I was confused. I was like, am I doing something wrong? I feel like
no one who's reviewed the game so far has really mentioned that. Like, this is a different version of the game. Like we're not only like getting like, it's not like a balance update. It's we're getting like 2 updates, because the previous version we've been playing for PS3 for all these years, that's 1.1. There's been 2.0, and now this is based off 2.5. So, like, the patch notes, like, I have it pulled up, actually, because Arc System has all the patch notes on their website. It's like a 13-page giant text document. Like, there are so many changes.
Yeah. I think the most drastic change in the thing was when they added the Shadow Burst thing. That's insane now. Like, I'm glad that's finally on console, like, after all these years.
Yeah, because, like, honestly, shadow characters were that thing, like, at least for me playing in the original one community, maybe you'd see people play shadow characters, but they were never viable in 1.1. Whereas, like, it literally feels like you double the roster, because shadow characters are so much drastically different now, which is really nice.
Yeah, like, basically, in the original, it was, like, Shadow Naoto, the most OP shadow character ever, and then every other shadow character was just, like, weak and crap, and, like, no one used them. And now it's good because you can pretty much all of them are viable now, like in online or like competitive play, which is really good. Excited to try out some other shadow characters in competitive, I guess, or online. When they add netcode, because the online now is abysmal.
So okay, we'll get to online, because I've actually been surprised. The netcode is actually in better shape than base PS3 is. I don't know
when I was playing, I kind of felt it was kind of. To me, it felt worse, but that just could have been that I was playing online with someone that like lived way further from where I did.
So that's the thing I was going to say, because you're in Australia. I don't know who you were grinding with or trophy boosting with, but like I've tried I'm in the Midwest of the States. I've done West Coast, East Coast, Japan, and South America. All surprisingly solid. So it was one of those funny things, like, I directly compared it to playing Ultimax a couple of days before I got the code, and Ultimax was like, oh my god. Like, obviously, who knows who's really, like, maintaining, like, the structure. Like, it was interesting, of like, because I think most of us just expected it's going to be the exact same online experience from the PS3, which obviously might change once everyone gets in there, because, like, really, there's, like, a total of, like, 10 people playing right now on PS4.
Yeah. I was boosting, like, the trophies with someone from Europe, so I assume that's why it was, like, really laggy, because I'm probably the only person in this damn country who even has fucking access to Ultimax right now.
Yeah, let me tell you, running into lobbies was so funny, because the first thing I would ask people, where are you located? Where are you at? And I was like, and it looked like, for me, because I'm coming out of, I want to know how far away people are, for, like, netcode reasons, but I'm like, that probably just makes you look like a big weirdo, but I just assume this is not a game, like, you got a copy of early, if you're not, like, reviewing it or doing something. So, like, in most cases, you would assume most people who are online are on it to test the online.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I never really got anybody to, like, chat in, like, lobby mode and stuff, so I just thought, like, that was always so funny of, like, yeah, so, like, I'm curious to see what it's going to be like once it's out. I hope it stays up, but I was legitimately surprised, because, yeah, the first thing I did when I got a code, I popped it online. I was like, okay, codes are out, let me try online, because we know rollback is coming, but obviously we're realistically probably not going to get it for, like, 3 to 4 months. So, like, how viable is this going to be?
Yeah. Did you try random, like, online, to see if you could run into any random reviewers?
Yeah, so God bless Enlist mode. Enlist mode basically made it so anytime any reviewer wanted to just try ranked searching, I could do it like that. Player mode, I always had to orchestrate it, because no one was ever going to pop into a created room. But I did, I think I've done at least, like, 5 to 7 matches or so in ranked through Enlist play. And, yeah, for the most part, it was always just, I'm playing, someone searches, I'm in training mode or something else, someone pops me out, I get the little intruder thing, and it was super smooth. The only issue I ever had was I had someone I was playing with twice, their system soft-locked while they were playing, and then, like, but my system was still running good, so once they quit the game, it would just boot me back to menu. So, like, outside of, like, little stuff like that, like, the overwhelming majority, I'd say, like, 85% of the time, no problems at all.
No. How do you find about, like, launching into an online match? Did you have that issue where it's like the intro to the match just goes so slow?
So that's actually, at least, like, I always forget, like, what it's called for it, but that's just what ARC's games always have to do. Is they are basically using that entire intro. That's why I always don't skip the intros when playing online, because you want to get that intro as laggy as possible beforehand, because then when it's playing, as long as it has all that time to load, it's getting all the players on the same screen, same time, and lining everything up. That's kind of, it's like getting you ready for it thing. So the intros are usually always going to be, like, janky and looking like that, but then once the matches would start, I never had anything that was, like, skipping frames or stuttery or anything.
Yeah, that was pretty much the same with me. It was just taking forever and ever to load, but yeah, pretty much, like, all went smoothly after that, aside from the occasional times when it would just lag a bit. But that was probably because my internet, because I live in Australia, so yeah.
It's like the weird thing is, like, people always give America a really hard time, rightfully so, for having, like, really unjustifiably bad internet. But I feel like people don't talk about Australia enough, because I feel like Australia doubly so has, like, no excuse.
It's so stupid. It's ridiculous. I live in, like, the city, and I'm running, like, 10 megabits per second. I'm like, what is going on here? I got, like, the best internet in my area. Like, I got, like, what is it? The cable stuff, like the fiber stuff that goes in the ground, and I'm still pulling, like, what, 50 megabits? It's stupid.
Is your guys' internet at least cheap? Because the thing in America that sucks is it's all expensive and bad.
It's very expensive and bad. It's horrible. It's like, I don't know how much it is a month, because, like, I don't pay for it.
No, not those speeds.
Yeah, I'll never pay for those speeds. But, yeah.
So then,
expensive.
I have 2 questions for you then. Number 1, did you have fun platinuming this game? / playing?
I had fun. up until Golden Arena. Like, it was actually fun. I loved going through it, and then I opened up Golden Arena, and I'm like, why is this changed? Why have you done this? Like, it was already bad enough. Like, it's, oh my god, it's so bad. It's like double the length of everything, and I was just like, oh my god, this is going to take me forever. 10 hours later, finally finishes Golden Arena.
And
it literally took me like 10 hours to do the new one. It was ridiculous.
Well, hey, God bless auto mode, though.
Yeah, that's true.
So, the other question then, for everyone else who'd be listening to you, is this a game you'll recommend when it comes out to people?
Yeah, I'd definitely I'd recommend it to people, but I guess if you're on a tight budget and you don't have like heaps of money to blow on like whatever comes out, like I do, and some other people do, I would say wait until netcode, because when rollback netcode comes out, and if it's actually good rollback netcode, 100% recommend it to everyone, because this is probably one of my favorite fighting games of all time.
You've got to imagine they'd have to make it like on sale that week it comes out, right? Like you just imagine sell it for $20 when it comes out, that update, and you would just assume it's going to do gangbusters.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because, like, this is, I think, much like other kind of remasters and stuff. When you're someone like us who's going to really, like, kind of get nitpicky and into the weeds with a lot of factors of it, it's always really easy when talking about it to be like, oh, wow, they had complaints with X, Y, and Z or whatever, of like, oh, they probably didn't like it. But it's like I said, I've played, like, 60-plus hours of this game. I've played 4 hours of Elden Ring. And I said, sorry, Elden Ring, I'm playing this PS3 fucking game instead. And it's not like I'm doing this out of my, like... I'm not doing this out of, like, my duty to the show. Like, if I wasn't having fun with it, I wouldn't do it. Like, it's legitimately been a thing of, like, I love playing this game. So, like, I'm highly recommend it on any platform. Like, I've messed around with all the versions now at this point. The PC version's solid. Switch version, it's the Switch version. I mostly am going to give it kudos to. If you want to experience the story, that's probably the best way to experience it, because it's not stuck to your giant TV. But yeah, like, every version of this is super playable. It's really fun. I think 30 is fair for what you're getting. I just think this is one of those weird times where the release price is good. The release timing, I think, is bad. Which you can't really dock it for, but it is hard to ignore, especially just because, like I said, this is such a weirdly crowded time for really good games. Like, there are so much more good out than I've seen in a March or February. It's like
the situation with Monarch and Atelier Sleepy 2. Like, you're releasing them Elden Ring, like, launch week. Like, especially with Atelier Sleepy 2, you're dropping that on the same day. Like, you've just killed the entire game. You've just killed the game.
I mean, at least with, like, something like a Sophie, there's a market. Like, there's a Gust team. That's why, like, made me so nervous with Monarch. Of, like, that's why I felt like I had to champion it so much, because I'm like, let's be fucking honest. No one's fucking standing Landkarst games.
Except for me.
Oh, yeah, man, let me tell you, the Dealfield Chronicles, as soon as I found out they were making it, I was like, let's go. Fuck, are you telling me this team is making a game with a budget? Let's go, baby.
Hopefully we get a Monarch 2, maybe. It's looking like they may announce one in October, according to their Twitter.
Like, my thing I always kept telling people, like, dude, if Caligula 1 can get a sequel, there's no reason this one, because this sold really well in Japan. My hope is that it's at least, like, they went into it knowing, hey, it released at a bad time. But, like, I think it's one of those ones of, like, it'll have good word of mouth, and, like, that'll be a good one for, like, sales and stuff over time, but I hope so, but I don't think it would get announced this year, just because Caligula 2 took forever to get announced. But when it did, the release was pretty soon. I would say maybe next year seems more reasonable.
Yeah.
But no, unfortunately, we're not allowed to talk about Monarch anymore. We've got to talk about fighting games. But so I guess like let's just like get into story, because the weird one with story is, and I know you blew through it, but I was mean to myself. I said, Spencer, you could play this game, or, because it's been so many years since you've played it, and you've been very hard on the story of Arena 1 and Ultimax, as not really being that good or worthwhile of an experience, sit down, read and listen to everything, and let me tell you, the amount of time it took you to platinum the game was how long it took me to finish both game story modes to 100%, and just the story mode.
God damn. I still vividly remember most of the story, surprisingly.
It's interesting, because actually it was a double-edged sword of Arena worse in every way than I remembered. Arena 1 has one of the worst visual novel stories I've ever experienced in all human history. And most of that boils down to, it's a 2-hour story spread across 12 hours and 12 different campaigns, all telling the exact same story, with the exact same boss fights. Yeah, so, like, Arena story is absolutely garbage. It's slow, it's not that interesting. Labrys is a great character. Labrys is a terrible villain. Like, Shadow Labrys, like, the reveal for the 900th time is like, wow, this, you guys are lucky this first game was so good conceptually, because if it was just a visual novel, this would not be a series anyone really remembers for it. Like for you, like, what do you remember from Arena specifically? Because, like, it is funny, like, they don't even, like, tell you when you start the game, hey, here's the first game story. Like, they advertise Ultimax first, which I do actually think is correct, because I'm like, I wouldn't recommend anyone unless you're a die-hard fan. Because there's no trophies tied to it. There's nothing unlockable outside of a couple of CGs and stuff. So it's like, unless you're a super die-hard fan who's never had a chance to play Arena 1, you are very good to skip this. You don't need to touch it at all.
Even if you're a diehard fan, I would highly recommend skipping. It's horrible. It's like, oh my god. Playing it once is like, oh, this is just shit. Playing it twice, oh my god, I want to kill myself. It's so bad. But I will admit, the intro to the P3 ones are actually really good. Like, the first 10 minutes of them, you get, like, to see what they're doing in between P3 and P4A, which I think is really good. Same with Elizabeth's story. I think hers is great, but everything else is just shit. Like, literally just play Yuna Akami's story once and then skip everyone else's, and you literally know the entire thing.
Yeah, like, I would say if you really want to, like, actually experience it, don't go for 100% like me. Especially because there's different dialogue choices, and technically getting 100% makes it more annoying. Do use story, then pick any character from, like, P3, then do Labrys, and then do Elizabeth. Because, like, Labrys, you at least get her backstory. There's very little actual fighting you're doing and stuff like that. It's interesting to kind of learn about her character. The Elizabeth one, like, ties into the P3 stuff in an interesting way. But yeah, like, going through Chie, Yukiko, Yosuke, Kanji, Teddy, it's like, no, like, outside of a couple of fun little jokey moments, like, there are some aspects that are fun, like, I like Kanji, you can just play through the whole thing and he thinks it's a dream, like, there's stuff like that I think is, like, fun for it, but there's just really no redeeming quality to it at all, and it's not doing itself any favors in this format. Like, the fact that they charged that in the original game is $10 DLC, that is hilarious.
Should be given it for free. Like, it should be just free. It should have been in the game. Like, I don't understand why it was a DLC in the first place.
It was, it was a choice. But Ultimax, I was actually surprised. I liked it a lot more. It's definitely not perfect. It's, thank God, much shorter, or at least feels much shorter in terms of its overall presentation, because it is one story but told twice, through the P4 side and then the P3 side. And, like, for me, I really liked that aspect of it a lot more, of just, like, here's the plot. It's exactly like Persona 4 Dancing All Night story. If you start at the top, there's different timelines, and you go down to the bottom. Like, it works very well. It's really simple. The story is definitely not anything perfect. It's easily the weakest of, like, all the spin-offs. But, like, it has more redeeming quality moments than I had remembered. But, like, for you, like, how do you remember the story of Ultimax?
It was alright. I mean, I don't really remember too much. I don't know why, but I remember the original Arenas way more than Ultimax's, but, like, it was a good story. I like the intros, especially for the P3 one, how it starts in, what was it called, the laboratory or whatever, and then they get taken on, like, a helicopter to Inaba, which is pretty cool, and then going down it is pretty cool as well. Going down, like, you start going down 4, then when you finish 4, like, you get to the end of the epilogue of 4, it takes you to 3, and then when you get to the end of the epilogue of 3, if there's also an option where basically the only multiple choice option in the entire game, if you choose, like, a specific one, you'll unlock the true ending on Persona 4s, and then you go through that as well, which, like, I think is pretty cool. But my favorite story part of this is the Adachi story. I think that's really good.
Yes, the Adachi DLC story is, like, that is how these stories should be. like an hour to 2 hours long, focus on the character, have a couple of matches really, but like they're just really digestible, really good. Like it's really funny because like it shows that like this team can do a good, concise story and have it focused on an individual character without it feeling super stretched out or super dragged out. Like it was always weird to me that like they only did a story DLC for him, even though he was not the only DLC character. But yeah, the Adachi DLC story, I was really glad still holds up. I will say, actually, I think people don't talk about the animation cutscenes for Ultimax enough more, because I think especially, like, the ones that give the context for, like, the P3 characters and a couple of, like, the cinematics with, like, Show and stuff, it still look really, really good to this day, even in terrible 720p quality.
Yeah.
Like, the one with Junpei especially, I always think is, like, so funny and stuff, of, like, him, like, daydreaming during the baseball game and stuff, or, like, the Featherman.
Ken, that's cool.
Yeah, so, like, there's a lot of fun, like, fan servicey moments there if you're, like, someone who's like, hey, I wanted more P3 in Arena. Like, this definitely gives you your fill. Outside of just throwing a couple of dead characters into the game for, like, no reason. Like, they pretty much give you everything you would want from the P3 cast.
Yeah. The gamer didn't seem to see that, though. They were playing the game with their damn life.
I mean, it's one of those funny things of, like, if you're someone who, like, doesn't like the story, I can understand. I can understand it, but like coming at it from the aspect of like this game has no fan service. I'm like, I don't know, man. There are times you might say it probably has too much fan service, but it's like that's kind of what this is like all going for. Like especially like into the little aspects of like if you're going to look at Shadow Yukari literally starting the game naked in a shower, be like this game has there's not enough fan service. This game, I'm like, no, I don't think so. But yeah, so the story is weird. It's like got the most asterisks ever. Like I would not recommend anyone picking this game up, whether it be your first time or your 9th time. Do what I did of just start only with story mode because it made it feel like such a slog. Because then every time you are finally playing the game, like the gameplay is the best part of this thing, which you would hope for in a fighting game, just because it looks great. It's always looked great. It's still like fast, frenetic. It's one of the easiest to pick up and most fun to master Arc System games they've ever done. Like
It's also one of the easiest to master. Like it's a very like easy to pick up game, very easy to master and get good at it as well.
Well, I think also one of the nice things is it actually has a very decent amount of tool sets. The lesson mode is really nice in terms of giving you an idea of all of the different factors for everything. On top of the fact that challenge modes really have a nice difficulty curve of, hey, those first 10 are going to be baby cake. Then then like 10 to 20 are going to be like getting a little bit harder, and then those last like 20 to 25 or 30 are really going to push you. But like the game gives you a lot of good ways to like fiddle around, whether your skill level is I want to play this professionally or I just want to mess around with my friends.
Yeah, because it's like a good skill. It's like some fighting games will just be like, oh yeah, give like all the impossible challenges, make everything ridiculous. Like Koiheim is a big example of this. That game is probably one of the hardest fighting games to do every challenge. They're just like, screw you. We're gonna put the most ridiculous, stupid hard combos in every challenge, and then it's just dumb. Like for games like that, I don't really like how it does stuff like that. But for games like Ultimax and some other fighting games as well, like having like a good difficulty thing, like what you said with how it's like 10 for like beginner, 10 for intermediate, and then 10 for expert. That's like really good.
Yeah, so if this is like the first fighting game you've ever been interested in, and if you're mostly just an RPG fan, this game was designed for all types of players. Like it's one of the most surprisingly well-rounded introductions or entries into a fighting game they've really done. And it's just kind of surprising because there are things that this game still does better than I think even like some modern like Arc System games don't really do. Like I'm playing this and like also if you're someone who misses like really pretty sprite work, this game visually has no upgrades at all on modern platforms. It still looks great in motion. Like, all the sprite art, all the backgrounds, all the music and stuff, it's, like, fantastic.
Yeah, there is surprisingly a few new, like color palettes that they added, which I was surprised when my friend pointed out to me. I was like, because he played the original or Ultimax so much to the point where he was scrolling through the color palettes and was like, "Oh, this one's new." And I'm like, "Well, I didn't realize that." And I'm like, "Oh, that's cool. They added some new color palettes in like 2.5 or 2.2, which is good."
Yeah, there's a lot of little like changes that I think it's been interesting. Of like, I feel like the way they announced this game was smart. Announcing it 3 months ago for a 3 months from now release date, really, really good. I think that this is not a game that needed months of anticipation.
Yeah.
That being said, I feel like they've done a very bad job of expressing how different this actually is in the really nerdy ways that matter. Like, I think just saying it's the latest arcade version means nothing to anybody who doesn't know, like, the game hardcore. Like, explaining how shadow characters are so different now, shadow bursting really changing the game, explaining different modes and features, going into the fact that, hey, Golden Arena, like we mentioned previously, is a completely different beast now. Originally, Golden Arena was this single-player mode where you could go in and level up a character, you could pick a navigator, there were technically social links and stuff like that, but really it's just, hey, you're fighting characters who have different skills and skill attributes, and you can level up every couple of rounds to kind of feel like an endless, like, tower mode. And the whole thing with it was, normal was 50 levels, hard was 100 levels, risky was 200 levels, and then heaven was, like, an infinite amount of levels. And now they've actually changed it, where not only is there a new limited mode, which I feel like is... It sounds like they're going to update that.
Yeah,
I don't know
maybe
if
every week or two, maybe they might change it over. I did do the full new event one, which, for any trophy hunters out there, if you do that limited mode, it counts towards the trophy. So if you want, like, you know, to skip that 400 stage beast that is the
I can't believe you didn't want to do that. What a coward you are.
Yeah, I don't want to do 400. I don't want to do Golden Elizabeth again.
So
I don't even want to imagine what's at 400.
Yeah, so I like that they extended it, but it clearly feels like they just took the additions made to arcade mode of just, we're extending it by making it twice as long and twice as hard, which I don't think is going to be for everybody. Like, I think in those situations, I feel like they should have almost retooled the trophy listing for that. Because, yeah, like you were saying before, now, because the only trophies tied to it, well, there's actually a couple, but, like, for the most part, leveling will still take just as long as it did in PS3. You have to clear 1, 2, and 3 separate courses, and now all of that is doubled.
I think they should have changed the name of that trophy to 3 of any, because they've just copied the descriptions of the PS3 one, and when I first saw the trophy list, it made me think that I had to do only the original 3. So I was kind of skeptical of, am I going to waste my time by doing the event one and it's not going to pop the trophy, because, like, the description's the same, so how the hell am I supposed to know? Like, but luckily it did work.
Oh, so, weird little nitpick. I hate that they got rid of DLC trophies.
I'm kind of glad. Those Adachi challenges are ridiculous.
Okay, I would have at least liked the trophy for finishing Adachi's story. Like, I feel like they could have included, like, trophies for the original Ultimax would have been fine. Like, for the original Arena story, for Adachi stuff, or, like, other new things.
I wish they added the new... Like, I was surprised. I'm like, there's literally no change. I, like, literally thought they were going to add one for the Arena story, like, to beat the Arena story. But no changes at all.
Even they know. They know you're not even going to touch it. That's why they put it at the bottom of the story menu. So yeah, Golden Arena, I like the changes that are there. It's, if you want more single-player content out of this game, this is one of, like, the most stacked single-player fighting games I can think of. Of, like, even if you take out the story mode, arcade mode is great, because almost every character has their own little mini story mode there, and they're really fun, little quick, like, interstitials. Like, I don't know how many of the arcade mode stuff you did outside of, like, the 3 you needed for trophies, but arcade mode's really great. Score Attack, it's nice that there's the difficulty levels for everything. Golden Arena, I think I never touched it in the PS3 version, outside of maybe messing around with it for a little. This I've actually sunk a lot more time into it, outside of, like, leaving it on in the background for, like, leveling up, like, random, like, BS matches. But, like, that's why auto mode is there. It's, like, either there if you can't do it, or if you just kind of don't want to do it. Like, this game almost, like, I idled more than I ever thought I would. Like, a great example, going back to story really quick, I eventually had to give up on watching story mode on my TV. Because I'm like, I'm just sitting here doing nothing and listening to the story play out forever. So I finally booted up Remote Play on my PS app on my phone. Because you can't Vita Remote Play, unfortunately, through PS5. And remote play was like the perfect way for me to experience the story because I could just bring it with me wherever I was and progress a little bit in the story. Because I wanted to pay attention to it, but I didn't want to have to sit in front of a screen and not be locked in that one position for that whole time. So it's been kind of nice, and you could do the same for like idling for like auto battles. So I think in situations like with the story in Golden Arena, I think that's where cases like the Switch version will probably be very fun. Like, I think if you're just someone who wanted to mess around with Ultimax and didn't have someone to play locally, I think Golden Arena is a really fun kind of way to grind something out while still feeling like you're making decent progress. Because the leveling and the skills and the RPG mechanics they put there are just deep enough to make the matches feel interesting. Because, like, realistically, if you're doing 800 rounds of a character game that has less than 30 characters at the end of the day, like, that sounds like it would be monotonous and really boring, but they find ways, at least for me. Like, I think Golden Arena is grindy if you're doing it like you and you're plowing through it in a day or so, but like for most people who are going to play it like picking off a couple of matches a day, I think it does its job pretty well.
Yeah, because like if you're just doing that, like doing a couple matches a day, it's good, and like also the length of it, like I mean, it's gonna last you a long time. Like if let's just say you do like 10 to 20 matches a day, like you could get so much out of Golden Arena because there's just so much there. There's also like you can also mess around with different characters as well, because the level the level isn't across all the characters. It's only to one character, and you can like mess around with other characters, level them up, get their skills and stuff, which is also pretty good as well.
That's like the thing of like I actually kind of like eventually stopped myself once I had enough footage for my review and stuff. I was like, I should just save this because I feel like Golden Arena will be a really good thing to just stream. Just like stream yourself just playing and like chatting to somebody and whatnot and enjoying it like that. So I think the amount of single player content like cannot be explained enough of like it's really really good if you don't have, because like I think that's one of the big things with fighting games. If you're not someone who plays online and if you don't have someone to play locally, it can kind of feel like, am I just playing like against these dumb AIs for like ever and stuff. And the difficulty like ranges are like pretty good, like because even like the hardest of the hard, like putting on risky, it's not like they're ever that hard. It's never like, oh my god, I'm having no fun, but it still feels like a good enough challenge.
I was kind of surprised though when I did like they added like they have like the normal courses, which are like you get like one like gold star when you finish the normal ones, and then when like they add the new ones and they change the color of it to like purple, and then when that happens, it's like it's different. Like for the first one, everything's level 99, which is like weird, and then for the second one, like so the levels gradually go up, and then when you hit that what is it, that like the end of the original amount, the levels will go back down again, but their attack stat will gradually go up.
Oh, weird.
To the end. Yeah, and then it's like different like new things that they added as well to make it sort of challenging, but at the same time, not really challenging. Also, another thing that makes the game a joke, on the risky 180, you get a skill called Die For Me, which has a 20% chance of instant killing when you do an SP skill. So if you really want to cheese it, you can just spam SP skills over and over again and just breeze through it all.
I'm surprised I haven't like asked you this question yet, or this hasn't even come up, because like we've talked about the game, but not really our individual like style of play. Who do you main?
I'm an Adachi and Naoto main.
So I have to ask
on the PS3.
What's your color choice for Adachi?
Joker.
it's so like what's funny is like I was talking to Gnarly when he got a code for it. He was like, "Did they add this to the game?" I was like, "No, that's been in there, dude." Like they like this predates the Joker memes hilariously. So for me, I can play everybody, but I've always mained since Arena just vanilla Yosuke, just because he is hilariously fast, even though he has like the tiniest moveset in the whole game.
I tried to main Yosuke, like in the original Arena, I mained him, but then I kind of switched up when I went to Ultimax. I did Shadow Naruto. I mained Shadow Naruto, he was so OP. I just picked the most OP character because it was OP, but then I actually found Naruto fun, so I switched her to normal Naruto, and I still found her fun, and now I main normal Naruto and Adachi.
I've actually been messing around a lot more than I thought I would. Adachi is my second main if I had to pick one. But I've been messing around a lot more with normal Sho. I don't ever think I ever like put a lot of time into him before. I messed around with Minazuki quite a bit. But yeah, like normal Sho is like he's such an interesting character because they get rid of that persona. Like, just
Yeah,
having him just be like a bootleg BlazBlue character feels so different.
yeah, he is an interesting character. I haven't put much time into him either. Like, I did a few of his challenges, and that's basically it. Because I kind of found the Persona thing weird how it wasn't there, you know, I don't know.
I especially liked, by the way, in Japan, I laughed so hard when they did their last live stream for Ultimax, where they were like going through all the DLC and being like, "Guys, this is over $100 in value. This is a lot of value we're giving this 8-year-old PlayStation 3 game." And like,
You should be paying me to do that.
exactly. But like, honestly, the more I kind of like think about the DLC all being in one package, it's like, this is really nice though, because like, it's stupid when you realize that I paid for DLC glasses and palette swaps. But really, when everything's there just unlocked, it feels like there's so many options. Like, there's so many outfits to pick from. There's so many colors to choose from everybody. Mixing and matching your character, the persona. Having all the navigators unlocked. The glasses add a really nice little considerable bit of flavor. Having all the DLC characters like Margaret and Marie and Adachi just being there right away. It feels like a really stacked game in terms of everything. I'm extremely salty they got rid of my favorite song from Golden, because God forbid they pay Aniplex money. But outside of the couple removed anime music songs, like, I think having all that DLC in there is really, really nice. I don't know if I've told you this, Slime. Do you know there is missing DLC in this game they've not advertised?
Are you for real?
Yeah.
Aside from the lobby? Is it aside from the lobby stuff?
Yes, well, yeah, we'll get into the lobby thing next. So, I'll give you a hint. It is training related, it was paid DLC, and if you try to use it without the DLC, it insults you in the game.
Oh, it's the demonstration thing that's like how you shouldn't be using the demonstration. Figure it out yourself.
Do you remember they charged you for challenge demonstration?
Yeah. Good thing they're free on YouTube.
They are free on YouTube, but I found something interesting out. Atlas Japan has never advertised that was included. Atlas West did, though. It's literally on their pre-order banner of challenge demonstrations are one of the DLC listed. And they're not there. And I've reached out to them.
Oh my god. Challenge demonstrations is worth my money now.
Well, it's one of those funny things of like, well, you advertised for it, though. Like, you advertised the game with having it in there, and it's not there. So it's one of those funny things of like, I hope they patch it, because it'd be like one of those things of, it's on YouTube, but having it one button click away does make it a lot easier for other people. Yeah. Especially now, kind of going back to the Margaret thing. Like, hey, when you've changed up these characters, like, it would be nice to have a way to, like, because like some of these old ways just don't work anymore.
Yeah, I was trying to do it on YouTube, the Margaret, and I was just watching that video again to get it fresh in my memory, and I was just trying. It wouldn't work, and I'm like, oh, I've got to be doing something wrong. And I'm like, oh, they've changed it. We need that demonstration thing there so I can do it.
So yeah, I don't know if that'll get patched. I have notified them. I'm the only Uber nerd who would be that guy who's like, nope, they got rid of challenge demonstration DLC. But it just kind of goes back into that thing of like, I'm coming at this game with like such a fine-tooth comb, just because I've put I put hundreds of hours into both versions, and it was just one of those things of like, so yeah, I'm going to like tear this thing apart like piece by piece, because I'm going to be, even after release, I'm going to be playing the fuck out of this thing like online and like in lobbies and like other stuff forever. So I wanted to ask you though, how did you feel about the lobby thing being exclusive? Obviously both of us play on PlayStation, but did you have any noticeable reaction or thoughts when that was finally confirmed it was actually only on PlayStation?
I was like, oh, why isn't this? It's just weird that they're not including it, because it's the advertising. I was like, oh, this game has everything in it on all platforms, when no, it fucking doesn't. And then everyone's like, oh, the lobby mode doesn't need to be in there. Oh, it's good it's not in there. Like, I mean, it's not good that they're removing something. It's like censorship stuff as well, where it's like, it's not good that they're it's just like, oh, it's not good that it's like they're censoring stuff, but people are like, oh, like, we need this, like the censorship with media and like uncensor like this stuff, right? But then with this stuff, it's like, oh, it's good that this stuff's not in there. Like, it's dumb. It's like, it should be in there.
It's very weird, because when I broke that story, because it wasn't confirmed until like 2 days ago from us recording this.
Yeah.
And when I was reviewing the game, I was like, if I'm gonna go down for break an embargo, I'm gonna break embargo for fucking lobby mode. Because that's the hill I'm gonna die on. But like, legitimately, that's a huge reason why I'm buying this game. Because lobby mode is a great way to link up with as many people as you want without being stuck into a 8-player text-only room. So the fact that they were silent on it for so long, because like they announced it without announcing it. They only announced it in the way of saying Lobby DLC was exclusive to PlayStation. Not Lobby was exclusive to PlayStation, just the DLC was exclusive to PlayStation. So I feel like they knew what they were doing because they know it's not a good look. But they also, like, the way this port was made, they literally deliberately had to go out of the way to remove lobby mode, though. Like, so they not only ported Ultimax, they ported Ultimax on PS3 to PS4, and then from 360 to Switch and PC.
Did they ever say, or did you ever get in contact with them and figure out why it's not on Switch or PC?
I've reached out to them. They have no official comment on it, but like, I know the reason that's on their FAQ is because more people... I was surprised at how much people actually seemed to care about it, because it was funny, the traction that announcement I got through the tweet and the video, it was literally 50-50, I feel, of people saying, what the fuck, this is bullshit, which technically it is, because guess what? It's the same price on all platforms, and you're removing 1/3 of its online modes on one platform. So it's really inexcusable, especially when you're taking pre-orders on Steam and no one knew that. Like, because I think like that could be a thing that like make or breaks where someone plays the game. And then at the same time, though, the people who are like, "Oh my god, I hate RPers." I'm gonna be honest. I never knew people were RPing in Ultimax lobbies.
I looked at your quote retweets and someone put a bunch of pictures and videos, and I'm like, oh wow, people did that. I feel like it seems set up though, because I was looking at the pictures and videos, and it's the exact same person role playing on all of them.
They're really they're making the rounds around. But yeah, so like I think like also if you're someone who like hates the idea of lobbies, it's not like it's Dragon Ball Fighters. You're not forced into lobby mode. Like, it's a feature you can avoid. You never have to use it.
You can do play a match, like it's there, like it's a choice. It's not like, oh, you have to do lobby match. It's the only way to play with people privately, or just play with people without just going to rank. Like, there is a choice, so it just makes no sense why it's not there or why people are angry, because at the end of the day, it's a choice. You're not forced to do it.
I hope they patch it in, because hypothetically, there's no reason they can't. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to play it only on PlayStation anyway, so it doesn't affect me at all. But it is just one of those weird ones of like, I don't know what you were thinking. That's kind of a weird hill to die on. But at least there's that for everything. But yeah. So like online though, for the most part, a good amount of modes and everything for it. But if this is a game you never want to play online, you're not going to be missing out on anything like too drastic.
I still wonder, like, why they didn't do crossplay, because I was kind of hoping for crossplay. I mean, it's not a deal breaker, but I did kind of hope they would, because I have heaps of friends who were going to play on PC.
That was honestly a bigger deal to me than rollback. I would have rather have had crossplay with no rollback than having rollback, just because it's like, I hate that we're still, when there's so many games that are like, hey dude, let's pop, like no one's like, where are you playing Warzone? It's like, no, you just pop on one game. And it's like, because like we're now at the point where I feel like more games do crossplay than the ones that don't do it.
Yeah.
So I know for sure. I've had confirmed to me 100% crossplay is never happening for this. They're not going to pay the money it takes because you have to pay Sony a considerable amount of all sales once you do crossplay.
That kind of sucks, but yeah, it does make sense.
Yeah, but for the most part though, I think we kind of like covered all the basic stuff. Do you want to just jump into questions before we wrap this up, I guess?
Yeah, I do have one thing, though. Like, I wonder what's gonna, like, with the netcode update, the rollback, I wonder if they're gonna add anything else with it as well that, like, they haven't announced, or if it's just gonna be netcode. If we're gonna get, like, a new character, maybe, new color palettes, new maps.
I would love that. I would be amazed if we even get an updated text box at the bottom that says, hey guys, rollback is here. Because I love the little information box that used to get updated all the time. Now it just says, the latest version of Ultimax is here.
Probably, yeah. They're not going to change that. When 2.6 comes out, it'll be just the latest version.
If they actually do any balance changes for rollback, that would be amazingly impressive. I highly doubt it. My only thing is, I think if they're smart, they would add lobbies for all with netcode, with the rollback netcode. I think that would be a really smart, like, 1-2 punch. All right, so we got a couple of questions from Discord, Facebook, YouTube, and whatnot. So first one we have comes from Tofu. It says, is it recommended to get the physical version either in Asia or Japan? So I don't know, but Slime, are you planning on getting the physical, or are you just going to stick with your digital copy?
I get physical. So for Atlas games, I buy Japanese collector's edition and English collector's edition and buy all platforms because, yes, I'm that guy that just buys everything Atlas. So I have...
Well, now, hold on. So then, if this had multi-platform special editions, would you then do double special editions as well?
Yeah, I'll do double special edition. I plan to do the same with Soul Likers too if they do a special edition in English. I did it with SMT5%. I pretty much have double collector's editions for every Atlas game.
Are you ready to buy your first Xbox One game?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I was so glad when I finally got confirmed that Soul Hackers 2 was getting a physical Xbox release. That's going to be the weirdest thing ever to see on a store shelf.
Yeah. But yeah, back to Ultimax. Yeah, I do have pre-ordered. I have the Japanese version, so I have 2 PS4 Japanese ones and then 2 Switch Japanese ones. Only reason I got 2 is because it's like, oh, this physical copy is $20. That's dirt cheap. I'm just going to buy 2 of each.
Yeah, it's funny. Like with the exchange rates right now, it's cheaper to buy a physical copy than the digital copy.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I just got the Japanese. I didn't get the Asia version. Is the Asia version gonna have English, like Asia English?
Nobody knows. There's no confirmations for any of them. So like honestly, like when I should have my copies in Tuesday or Wednesday or so, unless like the post goes really late, because I pretty much pay out the ass for like 1 day FedEx shipping.
I just get on Army so I can do bulk bulk hauls.
Mm-hmm.
So I have the Ultimax copies ordered with the SMT5 soundtrack on the same order, so I probably won't get mine until the end of the month, just so I can save myself $50 on shipping, so I don't have to ship both separately.
Is shipping to Australia expensive?
Surprisingly, it's not. From Japan to Australia with DHL, which is like 2-day shipping, it's like $20 to $30.
Oh, that's not bad at all. I remember Australia to America, I had to pay. I bought the Metal Gear Solid HD Zavi or HMV exclusive limited edition. It was like $150 was what shipping looked like it was going to be, and that was more than the game.
For shipping from Army though, the tax actually costs more than the shipping because of the 10% goods and services tax for Australia. Like the tax for this Ultimax order is 4,000 yen, but the shipping is 3,000 yen. So I'm paying more for tax than I am for the damn shipping.
Nice. Yeah, so I'll be surprised. Like, with the physical situation, I just want... again, it goes back to lobby. Why do we not just know the answer? Like, rip off the Band-Aid, let us know if it's there or not. Considering this is the only way to get a physical copy, you would think they would just include it on there? Because it's like, why not just make the physical version the definitive way to play it physically with all the English and stuff on there? But then also at the same time, like we said about the story, this is not a game you really need to buy for the story, and if you just want to have this so you can bring it over to a friend's house and pop it in their system, it'll get the job done.
Yeah. Still no English physical copy, which makes no sense.
No, but I mean...
Limited run, maybe? Limited run?
No, they would never work with them. Just it's not even like a they won't work with them thing, it's just a Sega doesn't want anyone else to distribute their games, but they will gladly give away their license to other games. If it's a game they made, they will never let anyone else distribute it.
That kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's like a... Do you remember when Sonic Mania came out and that was digital only? It was like how that was a whole thing of like, they could have made so much money at launch if they did a physical copy. They even made a collector's edition that didn't even have a physical copy of the game. And then after like a year and a half of backlash, they like did it with the Sonic Mania Plus version.
Yeah.
Alright, so next one comes from Caleb, who says, does Ultimax's story follow the answer conclusion or to Fez or the regular game? Great news, it doesn't matter. That's the answer. I guess
even with like Persona 4, it follows Golden, but you see Marie for like 0.5 milliseconds at the start, and then she never shows up again in the story.
I love she talks about she's mentioned at the beginning and then included at the end, like, oh yeah, we mentioned you. What were you doing? Were you saving people? I guess. Okay, bye Marie. It's nice seeing you. I would say though, I think if I'm recalling correctly, the canon ending. It's like, I mean, really, the answer is more the answer doesn't really answer anything for stuff like that. So it's really it doesn't really matter. It's just Persona 3's ending is Persona 3's ending. That said, though, our next one's by Ari, who says, "Who is your favorite character to play as and why?" So obviously we went over our main. My main is my favorite, just because I'm a huge Yosuke simp. But do you have a character who you enjoy who may not be your main, though?
Nah, not really. Maybe Yosuke, I do enjoy playing as him. He's not my main, but aside from that, Naoto and Adachi, they are just so fun to play as that I just made them my mains.
Adachi's one of those weird ones of Adachi, I feel like, has so much love and a cool attention to detail in his animations. All the characters do, but I think especially the Adachi, he's just got such psychopath energy in his moveset, and it's so fitting.
Yeah, even with his insta-kill, it's it's so good with Megatsu Izanagi just stabbing the fuck out of
all the insta-kills are awesome. Shadow Labrys is great with her fucking bull pulling all the way up.
Minazuki's is insane as well.
By the way, speaking of characters I like who I don't main, I love the rhythm minigame for Rise. That's never not fun.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's so good.
Jagingus says, any noticeable differences between this and the original releases, you would say, or is it mostly a straight port? So that's a weird one if it goes back to, it's the exact same game, except all of the hundreds of balance changes to the individual characters. But I feel like that's one of those things where unless you played this game actively, you're not really, no one's gonna notice, oh my god, this is new, outside of shadow bursting.
Yeah.
No one's going to be sitting there being hey, did you know that Koromaru now gets, damaged more on charge attacks? It's probably not. Let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, here you go. How likely do you think it is that Atlas West will eventually give a Western physical copy of Ultimax?
Never.
I used to say never. I actually am weirdly optimistic. I think there is a chance, if they're smart, and if this summer isn't horribly busy with releases, I think if they released a physical copy for $30 when they do rollback, I think that could be smart.
Oh, yeah.
And they have that patch on the disc.
Actually, yeah, that's good. I didn't think of that. Yeah, that would be smart. And I would, since this new Atlas shop is a thing, and there hasn't really been any releases since then, I would assume they might put it on there.
That's the thing that sucks, because it's you would think that's the thing. You have a shop, you could just you mentioned the whole limited run thing. Who needs limited run? You have your own shop to sell your own games and make all the money. So,
and you don't have to ship them out to stores and stuff. You can just have all your copies at your one warehouse and just sell them off that site.
But that would be too easy, clearly. But yeah, hopefully that's the case. Although knowing Atlas tradition, what's going to actually happen is the rollback patch will happen a day after Soul Hackers 2, and no one will touch it.
Yeah. It'll be Soul Hackers still just overshadow it, and everyone will just not even know it comes out or forget about it.
And then they'll announce Soul Hackers Arena just to really confuse everybody. So, we have a couple other ones here. Our next one is from Facebook. This one's by Stephen Yip. Should we just consider the original PS3 releases coasters at this point? Is there any redeeming factors? Will there ever be a reason for either of us or anyone in the community to play the old PS3 versions, in your opinion?
Never. Unless you're a hardcore trophy hunter and you want that platinum, I don't think anyone's ever going to play that damn game. Don't play that game at all. It's horrible.
Yeah, this at least, thankfully, whereas Nocturne was kind of nah, you're probably better off just pay. There were cases where I told people, hey, if you don't want to spend $50, just pay the $10 and download Nocturne on your PS3. Yeah. This is at least, it's cheaper than the PS3 version, it plays better than the PS3 version, and it has more features and all the DLC.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Radioactive Cosmic Ray says, did you honestly enjoy the story? I think we went over that. Big no. With an asterisk, I guess. Big no asterisk next to it. And what are things you wish were included with this release?
Crossplay, rollback at launch, I don't know why that didn't happen.
I would have delayed it. I was like, why did this release it without rollback? I think it would have been better if they just delayed it till summer.
Yeah, that should have been better. Just like, I don't even know why they didn't think to put it in the first place. Because like every game is getting rollback. Like even before, like the BlazBlue stuff's just getting all like rollback now. Like I don't understand why. Like they were probably planning this rollback stuff for BlazBlue before this even got announced.
Once they gave it to Cross Tag Battle, the holds are off. Like once Cross Tag Battle can get it, anyone can get it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other things I'd want to add. Well, like while being realistic, like obviously you can say like new characters and stuff, but yeah, honestly, crossplay and rollback are like the biggies. Oh, new music. That's one. You could have added. You could have added music. Like you took away music.
Yin Yang, the best Persona song.
They could. I mean, if they added like hilariously more songs from Portable, just to be, just say fuck it. Add Persona Q2 songs for no reason. Persona 4 Dancing. Yeah, like just include every Persona song you realistically could for no reason.
Just dump the whole soundtrack into the game for each game.
Although I will say, there's an insane amount of tracks. Like when you're just scrolling through all of them, it's like, all right, hold on, gotta get this one. Gotta scroll for 60 seconds to get Muscle Blues. Give me a moment. Next one we have is by Persona 4 Ever, who says, if you were a pro player, who would you like to have matches with within the pro or competitive community? So I don't know if you watch too much competitive Ultimax at all, but is there any like one from the competitive scene that you would want to try playing against?
Ooh, I don't really know too many of the pro players. I know Moopoke, but that's about it.
That's like tough. It's like I watch a lot of competitive one, but I don't actually like follow anyone particularly. I know like Junya is like a big one, obviously.
Yeah, Junya. Yeah, I know him as well.
But it's I don't know if I have anyone particularly, because even though I played Ultimax competitively, I played it way more casually, which is randoms.
Yeah, same. I didn't even know too many of the pro players until Atlas announced that charity competition, and they listed a bunch of pro players. I didn't even know like half these people until they added them in there in the post.
I'm surprised they haven't actually announced more. There's a European tournament actually happening in London this week. As well as in Japan, a bunch of pros and stuff are all meeting up at a local event to celebrate the release with Atlas as well. And they're both like official events, but there's just been no like. It's kind of weird because it's like I get it. You can't really like, hey everybody, let's go meet at this arcade and bring like 1,000 people. But it's also like it's one of those games where, man, a fighting game tournament is a lot more fun in person than it is online.
Yeah.
Here's a good one, though. Who is your least favorite character to fight against?
Oh, that's tough. I'd have to say, especially in 2.5, Shadow Mitsuru.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Shadow Mitsuru could be really... I was going to say, if you have a really fucking cheap AI or somebody who knows what they're doing, though, Margaret can still fuck you up really hard.
Oh, yeah, Margaret. Even Naoto, if you don't really know what you're doing, people can just like instant lock you in, like insta kills, like just lock you in insta kills. I do that. I used to do that online all the time. Like I used to vet people that didn't really know what they were doing, and I just lock them all in insta kills and just beat everyone. Easy.
Oh man, I gotta say, I never actually fucked around this because it was paid DLC characters until this because they're included. The boss characters are incredibly cheap.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I've ever seen something so broken in such a long... Like, those are, like, hilariously, like, just overpowered as hell. Which, like, it's good then that they're all just there, but the fact of, like, I don't know who would have bought this and been happy with it, but I mean, hey, at least they're here.
Reminds me of the golden the golden Margaret they added to the new event course on the Golden Arena. That is, so you can't even knock her down or do anything. It's just use dive for me. It's so cheap. It's dumb. Like the dark versions and the gold versions in Golden Arena are all just cheap. Boss fights are stupid.
And the final one from P4E says, with the game coming out, do you think there's any chance that we're finally going to get an official translation/release of the Ultimax manga? So I don't know if you're aware of it, but are you aware of the Ultimax manga?
Yeah, I know of it. I also know of the original Arena manga, which like no one talks about because it sucks.
It's at least shorter than the story mode, at least.
That's true, yeah. I like the art. I like the art of stuff. What I think it was like Saito or something. I think that does the art.
Saito did the Ultimax one. The manga for the Arena one is a different artist. I forget their name for.
Yeah. But I saw he tweeted out a new promotional art for the Ultimax, the remaster, in his manga style, which looked really cool. Yeah, I love the art in the Ultimax manga. It's so good. But for a localization, yeah, I'd like them to do one. I think it could definitely happen, since they did that Mementos mission one, which I thought was never going to get localized. So there's always a chance.
Yeah, it feels like we're more queued up for this to finally be a reality than we were the last 6 years of waiting for it to come out. Stoner63 says, how large do you think the PC community will be for this? I think competitively, online competitively, PC will be big. Overall, PS4 will dwarf all of them.
PC is going to be massive. There's already a massive, massive community on PC right now. There's a Discord community called P4PC, or Persona 5 Club, which is massive. They have 10,000 members, and they do tournaments every day.
Yeah.
They do it through RC PS3 on Parsec. So yeah, it's pretty big, even on PS3. For the last 6 years, it's been massive. So yeah.
Yeah. So I think though, for a majority of if you're going I don't think this game will be dead on any platform at launch, but I think Switch is definitely going to die out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
PS4 though, there is still a large amount of people who will play that, if not just for the fact that, hey, I want to play this on a console, or hey, this is going to be on tournament, so I want to play this on a system that's getting, no one's busting out the PC version at tournaments for this in most scenarios. So yeah, that'll be a thing. If I think lobby being on PS4 is going to help make the casual audience all be migrated to one audience there, and then if you're someone who wants super hard competitive stuff, you're not going to be hard pressed for PC at all, because it's all of those people who've been fucking, not even RCPS3, people have just been playing 2.0 on bootleg arcade emulators.
Yeah. I think the Switch version though, it'll be popular at launch. I'd say for the first week or so, it'll get good sales, and it'll just slowly decline until no one plays it because it's not getting rollback. I
almost wonder. I'm very curious how it's going to chart in Japan next week, because I'm almost I don't know if it will chart. I feel like it will, just because it's cheap enough. Yeah. But then I'm also wondering. I don't know if Switch will outsell that, because in most cases, Atlas games are pretty close, neck and neck with PS4 and Switch. But this is one I almost kind of feel like this is just one that more people are going to buy in a PS4.
Yeah, PS4 games are chart higher on Famitsu than Switch games for pretty much every release. I mean, Switch gets very close. I'd say 5,000-ish units behind, but usually PS4, PS5 versions of multiplayer games usually chart higher than Switch on everything.
Oh my god, I just thought of a fucking another reason why this game's going to get fucking demolished in terms of attention. Speaking of Switch, what's the biggest Switch release this week?
Biggest Switch release? I don't really know.
Mario Kart 8 is getting DLC.
Oh, that fucking thing.
God. Yeah, it's dude, if you're gonna tell me what, and again, something that I guess gonna have a whole bunch of content with this, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit more excited to play Mario Kart 8 DLC than playing this on Switch.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, it is kind of it's a good problem to have. If your problem is, man, that it's not good if you're one individual video game company, but it is nice to be wow, it's nice to have all of these good choices and stuff right now.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got 2 questions left. First one is by Flare of Legacy. Not a question, but had to shout you out. Flare of Legacy, I needed to get your name so I didn't feel bad. You were the one who remembered your ill-fated YouTube channel, so thank you, Flare.
Yeah. Rest in peace, the Lucky Slime YouTube channel with 10 million total views.
And final one by MJ Player 64 says, does the Switch version have local wireless play, or if you know about it? I'm really curious I'm really curious about it because I feel like this version is getting the short end of the stick. So I have a couple of interesting things that I've not seen reported that I did get confirmed. So local play with 2 systems, no. But really, you don't need to do that. I could see the use case for it, but no. So you can't link 2 systems to play. You can, though, obviously have 2 players on one thing in tabletop mode, or just have someone sync up their Joy-Con or USB. That works. What I did find interesting, though, about the Switch version, because BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle had the same problem at launch, but did get it patched, you cannot play Ultimax with a single Joy-Con, even though it is a 4-button fighter.
Goddamn.
Which, would you want to do that? Probably not. But
no, I don't want to play anything with. I don't want to play a single fighting game with Joy-Con Pro Controller.
But I'm saying though, in the use case of hey, you're out with somebody and you only have the 2 Joy-Cons, that's a fun way of like, hey, do you want to fuck around on Ultimax for a little bit? Like, that's a perfect scenario of like, that's a thing of like, I hope that gets patched in, because like that's something of like, you should just let them do it. It's like, is anyone going to really use it competitively? No, but like, you've already done it with like cross tag battle. There's no reason it can't be done. But now, like, honestly though, even though both of us own the Switch version, I'll be amazed if I ever put more than an hour into that version. I think I'm going to boot that up and be like, cool, and then put that right on the shelf.
I'm not even going to boot it up, I'm just going to put it on the shelf.
Well, you know, got to get those gold coins. You bought the physical version for a reason. Might as well get 30 cents out of it. Yeah, man, that is it. It's funny, we're like not even at hour and a half of the official show, basically, but I feel like we've squeezed every bit of juice out of this game as possible. But I wanted to kind of thank you for coming on and chatting with me about this, because it's one of those weird ones of like, it doesn't feel like a big release, but I feel like there's still 1,000,001 things to talk about for this, that I really want to get as much stuff as I can out there for it before release, because there's just like a lot to kind of digest for people, and I think there are still a lot of people who are on the fence, and kind of rightfully so.
Especially for big Mega 10 fans like myself and you, it's like any Atlas game, even a port, is a big release for me.
I will not have a review discussion for 13 Sentinels on Switch. I'll tell you that right now. I'm not gonna fucking stop the presses for that one. I know what that port's gonna include. I'm good.
Yeah.
But obviously we can't really promote your YouTube. But where can people find you and give you all the internet bucks?
You can find me at LuckySlime_ on Twitter.com.
And
I may make a YouTube channel. I am thinking about starting up one when I finish my PC build that I am probably gonna have done in like a week. So I'll probably stream maybe platinum speedruns of Atlas games on day one.
You should do. You should call your second backup YouTube channel "Too Lucky, Too Slime."
I might do just that.
Now, what you should have promoted though, but much like me, you're very bad at promoting. There you go. Yeah, PSN Provo. So you've got your last trophy guide was Monarch, right?
Yeah, last trophy guide was Monarch. My next trophy guide will probably be... I plan to do a Caligula 2-1 since there is no Caligula 2-1 on the site at the moment. But my next big guide will be Soul Hackers 2. It should be live on the day the game comes out, if all goes well.
You're gonna have to sneak into Atlas's servers themselves just to get that out of there. Now, because I feel like I could ask you 1,000,001 questions out of this alone for it, because I'm really big into like guides as well for stuff. Ironically, not for using them usually, but I'm always a fan of them in terms of having resources or just owning them. Do you remember your first trophy guide?
Yeah, my first trophy guide was for Persona 4 Arena.
Oh, nice.
Original PS3 version.
Now, was that on PSN Profiles, or was that like what, PS3 trophies, or what?
It was on PSN Profiles, yeah. I like that god layout on that side, it's really good. Maybe one day I will get invited to join PowerPix. That's my life goal, maybe. Maybe one day.
It's like I thought PowerPix is just a dude. Is that like a team of people?
It's a team of people. A few of my friends work at PowerPix.
That's so funny. Like, yeah, PowerPix is the one I know a lot. Exophase is what I like see a bunch for, but that's so funny. Like, in my brain, all those like achievement channels are just like a dude.
Yeah, that's what I used to think as well. I was like, oh, PowerPix is just one guy until I made friends with someone who worked at PowerPix, and he was telling me about like how it all worked and stuff, and I'm like, oh fuck, this is like an 8 people fucking operation, and I'm like, god damn.
Man. That is too funny. Although, because I noticed you're playing Caligula 1, will you be insane enough to play the original Caligula on Vita and get that platinum? My
plan is to do all the regions for the Caligula.
Now, do you own Caligula, by the way, for the Vita?
What? Yes, I do. I'm gonna be honest. I only own the Japanese physical version, so I missed out on that.
That's what I was gonna say since it was delisted. Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to do a bit of a sussy to get the platinum for that, but we won't talk about that.
The sussy platinums. You know, hey, if Atlas couldn't be fucked to give that game a physical release, I don't think they're gonna care if you do that. We're giving Fudiyu their money anyway, in other means.
Yeah.
Now, have you started Caligula 2 yet, by the way, or are you waiting till you platinum Caligula 1?
I'm waiting till I platinum Kogyo one, yeah.
I'm very curious to see what you think, because I think 2 was one of the most like underrated RPGs of last year. It was very good.
Yeah. The OST in that game is insane. I've been listening to that since it launched.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
But yeah, so I guess it's just the easiest way to look up your stuff. Just like look up your profile on like PSN profiles.
Yeah, just look up Lucky Slime on PSN profiles, or if you want to contact me on Twitter or DM me, my DMs are always open at LuckySlime_ on Twitter.com.
Okay, cool. And yeah, and both of those links I'll put in the episode description and everything below. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this show, and for some reason this is your first one, congratulations, you've made it 260 plus episodes into this show without knowing we existed. But yeah, we are a weekly SMT, Atlas, and Persona discussion channel. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you find stuff. Subscribing and rating everywhere super, super helps. But we've got communities on Twitter at SMT Network, Facebook, groups, pages, Discords. All the links will be below wherever you're checking this out. But if you'd like to help fund this dumpster fire every week, you can go to patreon.com/SMT Network and donate. $1 a month will get you the show early, like this episode, along with a couple other extra perks and exclusive giveaways. Or if you want to be extra nice and be an executive producer, you can donate $5 or more, just like Jagingus, Cross Ren, Gorosero, Jazzy Jeff, K-Horse, Patrick, Philip, C-Show, Solaire, Cameron Sharp, and nobody else, but I appreciate all the patrons nonetheless. You guys help keep the hosting fees and everything going strong, getting those badly made decisions like buying Persona 4 Dancing, Persona 5 Dancing, and Persona 3 Dancing DLCs, because that's where money should be spent in the year 2022 of our Lord and Savior. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the show. I've believe it or not, I've gone from barely being awake at the start of the show to I have to clock into my day job in 30 minutes.
Oh, god damn.
But Slime, thank you so much for discussing with me, and I want you to know we could have had our own discussion this long, if not longer, just about trophies if I was not restraining myself even harder.
Yeah, and no problem. Thanks for having me on. It was fun to talk about Ultimax and trophies.
Oh, yeah. Oh, honestly, again, another thing I feel like we could have its own discussion about, of just that process, because I know that's like of just marathoning a trophy. Of just like, I'm sitting here, I'm getting this, because if I get up and stop, if I do it in multiple chunks, it'll take longer than if I just did it in one go.
I could go on for hours talking about the history of trophies and trophy hunting and stuff. But yeah.
Alright, well, everybody, before we get the history of trophy lore books out, we gotta say goodbye. So goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.